Welcome to A Voice in the Wind. I am your host, Virginia Huddleston. Today, let's talk about the Republican Party. There is so much chaos going on in the world. Spending is out of control. Inflation is out of control. We're having problems putting food on the table. Forget about buying a house. And the price of gasoline is almost cost prohibitive. What are the Republicans doing about it? Nothing. A bunch of dog and pony shows that at the end of the day will be meaningless. So let's see if we can figure out why that might be. So today, I'm going to use some data in this episode that was retrieved on August the 9th of this year from Mark Levin's website, conservativereview.com. On his website, Mr. Levin has something called the Liberty Score, and the Liberty Score tracks the voting records going back 6 years of our current elected officials in D.C. based on traditional conservative values, smaller government, lower taxes, less spending, etc. He gives them a score, traditional score like in grade school, A to F. And that's called the Liberty Score. And he gives an overall score to each individual elected official. And then if you click on that official's name, it shows you what they voted on and whether or not they voted for or against conservative principles. So the total number, one little caveat, the total number of congressional members are not going to be exact because there are a few limited offices that have not been updated since the 22 election. Example, Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, they're still up there. Scores of F, of course. Richard Shelby, senator from Alabama, is no longer in office. He's been replaced with Katie Britt. Shelby's still up there. Ms. Britt is not. But for the purposes of our show today, the numbers are accurate enough to give you the big picture and to understand why this orchestrated chaos coming from D.C. is nothing more than that. It's a dog and pony show to keep everybody in this country distracted while they continue in their nefarious little political games that are destroying this country. So let's get started. Who would you say, if you had to pick a name, who would you say votes the most conservatively in the Democrat Party? The most conservative voter in the Democrat Party in either house. My first inclination would be Joe Manchin. Guess what? It's not. What if I told you it's Ilhan Omar? Among Democrat representatives in Washington, D.C., Ilhan Omar has the most conservative voting record. She has voted with Republicans 22% of the time. Joe Manchin, only 18%. Ilhan Omar has the most conservative voting record among the Democrats. So among Republican representatives in either house, who would you say is the most liberal? If you guess Susan Collins, Senator Susan Collins, you would be absolutely correct. She has the most liberal voting record, voting with Democrats 80% of the time. Ilhan Omar votes more conservative more often than Republican Senator Susan Collins. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So the question is, Susan Collins votes with Democrats 80% of the time. We know Susan Collins is a good liberal. Why hasn't Susan Collins been thrown out of the GOP? Why does the GOP continue to endorse her? Why does the GOP continue to fund her campaign? Susan Collins is a Democrat hiding behind the label Republican. She is a wolf in the Republican Party. Why has she not been purged? But then the question is Susan Collins the lone Democrat hiding within the Republican Party? Well, we know she's not. But let's take a really close look at the numbers and see just what we're dealing with in the Republican Party. So, like I told you, the Liberty score is a traditional value scoring system from A to F. So, in the United States Senate, based on Senate Republican voting records going back 6 years, 49 members are being counted with a score of A, good, strong, solid Republicans, 5. Score of B, solid Republicans, 9. C, which I like to call the wild cards, they could go either way, 10. D, which is a Democrat, 8. F, 17. So let's break that down a little bit more. Based on the Liberty scores, an A and a B, in my opinion, constitutes a Republican, solid Republican. Total Senate members that have an A or a B Liberty score, 28.57%. C, the wild cards, 10 of those, 20.41%. D's and F's, the Democrats, the wolves in the Republican Party, 25, 51.02%. Hear what I just said. Based on their voting records going back 6 years, in the United States Senate, 51% of Republicans are Democrats in Republican clothing. They are true members of the Uniparty. We got 20% wild cards. Those are C's. What are you going to promise me? That's which way the wind will blow. Actual solid Republicans, 29%. So 29% of the U.S. Senate are true Republicans. 20% wild cards, 51% Democrats. So let's give credit where due. First of all, let's look at the rock star Republicans in the Senate, the ones who are the solid A's and B's. The highest scoring senator on the Liberty score was Senator Mike Lee from Utah with the 94. The lowest was Senator Tom Cotton with a B, score of 81. Marsha Blackburn, A, Liberty score of 93. Rand Paul, A, 93. Cynthia Loomis, A, 92. Tommy Tuberville, A, 92. Bill Hagerty, B, 88. Mike Braun, B, 88. Roger Marshall, B, 88. Ted Cruz, B, 88. Joshua Hawley, B, 86. Rick Scott, B, 86. Jim Risch, B, 82. Ben Sass, B, 81. Tom Cotton, B, 81. So those are your rock star Republicans right there, the 14 solid Republicans in the U.S. Senate that we can count on to try to straighten the ship and guide us down the straight and narrow. Who are the wild card members? Who are the ones that are like, well, which way is the wind blowing? There's one name on here I was a little surprised to see, and that's Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. He has a C. He's got a Liberty score of 77. Ron Johnson, 78. Mark Wayne Mullen, 77. Tim Scott, 77. James Langford, 76. John Barrasso, 76. Pat Toomey, 74. Steve Daines, 74, Marco Rubio, 71, Jim Inhofe, 70. So when you start getting into the 74s and lower, anything below 75, you're starting to trend to the Democrat side. But now, let's look at the 25 Democrats that are hidden within our Republican Party. And we're going to start with the prizes. We're going to start with the lowest of the low. Susan Collins, F, 20% Liberty score from the state of Maine. She's been in office for 25 years. Remember, Ilhan Omar votes more conservatively more often than Susan Collins. Think about that. Lisa Murkowski, F, 29% for her Liberty score. State of Alaska, 20 years in office. They recently had to change to ranked voting in Alaska to ensure that she could continue to get that seat. Rob Portman, F, 36, Ohio, been in office 11 years. Roy Blunt, F, 42, Missouri, 11 years. Shelley Capito, F, 43, West Virginia, been in office 21 years. One of my personal favorite Democrats, Lindsey Graham, F, 43, South Carolina, 19 years. Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, F, 44, Kentucky, 37 years. He's been in office. Richard Burr, F, 46 Liberty score. State of North Carolina, been in office 17 years. Tom Tillis, F, 49, North Carolina, 7 years. Roger Wicker, F, 50, Mississippi, 15 years. Really, Mississippi? I expected a little more than that. John Thune, F, 51, South Dakota, 17 years. Todd Young, F, 52, Indiana, 11 years. Mitt Romney, F, 52, Utah, 3 years. Mike Rounds, F, 52, South Dakota, 7 years. John Cornyn, F, 54, Texas, 19 years. Cindy Hyde Smith, scored an F, 54 Liberty score, Mississippi, 4 years in office. Bill Cassidy, F, 55, Louisiana, 13 years. Chuck Grassley, this one surprised me. Chuck Grassley, F, 56, Liberty score, Iowa, been in office 41 years. Joni Ernst, she got a D, 62, Iowa, she's been in office 7 years. John Hoeven, D, 62, North Dakota, 11 years. Kevin Kramer, D, 64, North Dakota, 9 years. John Boozman, D, 64, Arkansas, 11 years. Dan Sullivan, D, 64, Alaska, 7 years. Deb Fisher, D, 66, Nebraska, 9 years. Rick Allen, D, 68, Georgia, 23 years. And Michael Crapo, D, 69, Idaho, 23 years in office. Let me say again what I just said. Susan Collins has a lesser conservative voting record than Ilhan Omar. Senate Leader Mitch McConnell votes with Democrats 56% of the time. Who are they representing? Now let's look at the U.S. House. Let's look at our congressional representatives and their voting records. Again, the Liberty score is A through F. We're dealing with 210 elected members of the House. A and B are Republicans, C are your wild cards, D and Fs are your Democrats, hiding behind a Republican label. You got 30 A's, 27 B's, 52 C's, 42 Ds, 59 Fs. So A and B combined, total Republicans 57, 27%. Wild cards, you got 52. Those are your C's. Which way is the wind going to blow? 25%. D's and F's, Democrats, 101. 48% of your elected Republican officials in the House are Democrats hiding behind a Republican label. Who are they representing? Look at that again. House Republicans, based on their voting record going back 6 years, 48% got Liberty scores of D's and F's. Those are your Democrats hiding behind a Republican label. Only 27% solid Republican and 25% are your wild cards. What's in it for me? So I'm not going to go through 210 names. The information is here if you choose to rewind a video and look at this, or better yet, if you choose to go to conservativereview.com, pull up the Liberty score, you can search by name, grade, house, party, etc. It's so very well done. However, I want to point out the rock star Republicans that are in our House of Representatives. Solid A's. Paul Gosar, 100%, Arizona, 11 years in office. Matt Rosendale, 100%, 1 year in office. Marjorie Greene, 100%, Georgia, 1 year in office. Lauren Boebert, 100%, Colorado, 1 year in office. Dan Bishop, 100%, Colorado, 1 year in office. Chip Roy, 100%, Texas, 3 years in office. Byron Donalds, quickly becoming one of my favorites, 100%, Florida, 1 year in office. Bob Good, 100%, Virginia, 1 year in office. Andy Biggs, 100%, Virginia, 1 year in office. I'm sorry, Bob Good. Andy Biggs, 100%, Arizona, 5 years in office. Warren Davidson, 99%, Ohio, 5 years in office. Troy Nehls, 96%, Texas, 1 year in office. Tracy Mann, 96%, Kansas, 1 year in office. Thomas Tiffany, 96%, Wisconsin, 1 year in office. Thomas Massey, 96%, Kentucky, 10 years in office. Louis Gohmert, 96%, Texas, 17 years in office. Ken Buck, 96%, Colorado, 7 years in office. Barry Moore, 96%, Alabama, 1 year in office. Mary Miller, 95%, Illinois, 1 year in office. Gregory Stube, 95%, Florida, 3 years in office. Tim Burchett, 95%, Tennessee, 3 years in office. Jeff Duncan, 94%, South Carolina, 11 years in office. Jim Jordan, 94%, Ohio, 15 years in office. Lance Gooden, 93%, Texas, 3 years in office. Jody Heiss, 92%, Georgia, 7 years in office. Ralph Norman, 92%, South Carolina, 5 years in office. Tom McClintock, 92%, California, 13 years in office. Andrew Clyde, 91%, Georgia, 11 years in office. Michael Cloud, 91%, Texas, 3 years in office. Yvette Harrell, 91%, New Mexico, 1 year in office. And last but not least, Alex Mooney, 90%, West Virginia, 7 years in office. Those are your rock star A Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives right now. So now we got 52 wild card House members, the C's. 75 and higher, kind of trending upward toward the A's and the B's, but you're still not there. 74 below is starting to trend Democrat. Got to watch those votes. You got to watch these people. And I see a lot of first years that are running with C's here, the wild cards, and the question is why? Is this what you voted for? Is this what they promised you? Or are they playing safe? Are they jockeying for position? Are they jockeying for seats on committees, etc.? Those you need to look at. But now, let's look at the 101 Democrats that are hiding within the Republican Party. I'm not going to go through every name. There's way too many of them. However, I do want to focus on some of the bigger names that you need to pay attention to. You got a lot of first years here, not too terribly many, but you need to ask yourself, and you need to look at their voting record. Is this what they promised you? Julia Letlow, Louisiana. She's got a D, 68% on her Liberty score. She's been in office for 1 year. Is this what she promised you, people in Louisiana? I was born and raised in Louisiana. I find that a little surprising. Andrew Garabino, 67%. New York, his first year in office. Hey, New Yorkers, is this what he promised you? To be a Democrat in Republican clothing? Mike Carey, Ohio, 67%. Kim Young, California, 67%. Mike Garcia, California, 65%. Marionette Miller Meeks, Iowa, 63%. All these people, 1 year in office. But then you also have to look at these long-termers. Mike Rogers, a D, 61% from Alabama. He's been in office for 19 years. Sam Graves, Missouri, 64% Liberty score. He's been in office for 21 years. These people are Democrats. They're hiding in sheep's clothing. Why is the GOP giving them money? Why is the GOP still supporting them? Those are the questions you need to be asking. However, your worst offender within the Republican Party that is sitting in the U.S. House today is Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, who has an F, 26% Liberty score from Pennsylvania. He's been in office for 5 years. Is this what you voted for, Pennsylvania? Or did you just go with name recognition, which is common? More people go. That is why it's so hard to beat an incumbent, and for no other reason, because of name recognition. And they can justify and excuse away any vote or any specific issue you may not like. We've got to learn to close the ears when they start to justify and look at their actual voting record. We've got to start holding them accountable. If the GOP is not going to purge the party, we have to do it for them. And the GOP is not going to purge the party. The GOP is currently being run by a Democrat. Ronna Romney McDaniel is the niece of Mitt Romney. And remember, Mitt Romney scored a big fat F. He's a Democrat. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. When Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski recently threatened to leave the Republican Party, they thought that was a threat. I thought that was a promise. But apparently the GOP disagreed and acquiesced to whatever their demand was. Let's look at the big picture right now. Let's combine all members of both houses, Republicans and senators, and let's do a breakdown. In all, amongst Republicans in the House and the Senate, A and B Republicans, 27%. Only 27% of elected officials in Washington, D.C. are solid Republicans. 24% are the wild cards, the C's. Which way is the wind blowing? What's in it for me? What seat do I get? What do I get thrown in my bill to bring home to my state so I can buy more votes? Those are your wild cards. 49%, almost half of your current elected officials sitting in D.C. right now under the Republican Party are Democrats. D's and F's on their Liberty scores. 49%. And you want to know why our country is falling apart? You want to know why all these liberal policies are being forced through? You want to know why there's such chaos and controversy throughout the globe? You want to know why we continue to spend and send billions upon billions upon billions to Ukraine? Here you go. Because 49% of these registered Republicans are Democrats in sheep's clothing, and the other 24% are for sale. What is in it for me? That's your Republican Party today. 27% Republicans. 27%. Now you think about that. So let's ponder. If only 27% of elected Republicans are voting conservative, or as traditional Republicans would vote, then who are the other 73% really representing? Because it's not us. It's not the voters. It's not the Republicans. It's not the conservatives. Heck, it's not even the American people. So let me ask again, if only 27% of the elected Republicans today in Washington, D.C. vote conservative or with the Republican Party, then who do the other 73% truly represent? Our Senator Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, has a Liberty score of 44, big F. That means he votes with Democrats 56% of the time. 56% of the time, Mitch McConnell votes with the Democrats. Who is Mitch McConnell representing? It's not me. Is it you? Kevin McCarthy, Leader of the House, a Liberty score of 54, big F. He votes with Democrats 46% of the time. 46% of the time, Kevin McCarthy votes with the Democrats. Who's he representing? He's not representing me. He's certainly not representing you. And then to top it off, Mitch McConnell, just reported in the news, is telling the Republicans in the Senate it's not a good idea to impeach Joe Biden. It doesn't look good. Really? So I'm going to repeat this question again. If only 27% of elected representatives, or the Republicans, vote conservative, who are the other 73 really representing? Who is Liberty score 44, votes with Democrats 56% of the time, Mitch McConnell representing? It's not us. Who is Kevin McCarthy, who votes with Democrats 46% of the time? Who is he representing? It's not us. So how do we save our nation? What do we do about this? It's not an easy answer. And I had a hard time with this. But first, we must accept the fact that the Republican Party, as we knew it, no longer exists. It is not an America First conservative party of old. It is not limited government. It is not lower taxes. It is not less regulations. It is not prosperity for all. We must be willing to separate ourselves from a party label. Forget the R at the end of a name or an L or a D at the end of the name. Forget who they say they are. Let's look at what they actually do. We must be able to look beyond friendships and name familiarity. I'll give you a perfect example. My representative, Jerry Carl, been in office for a year. Friend of mine going on 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. He's got a 74C. I voted for him. He's been in office 1 year. I was stunned when I saw that. And if he has a valid primary, I will strongly consider his opposition. If there is no opposition, I'm not sure I'll be voting for him because that's not what I voted for. That's not what Jerry Carl promised me. We have to look at the actions of our representatives. And by actions, I mean, what is their voting record? Reject the political excuses that they will find and use to justify why they voted a certain way. Does it matter? Because their vote that they're justifying is driving our country further into the abyss. What else could you do? Do not donate to the RNC. Don't give them another dime. Do to the RNC what we've done to Budweiser. Don't donate to the RNC or any RNC related PAC until they support actual conservative candidates and begin to purge the Democrats from the party. It's the only way it's going to happen. And we need to demand new leadership in the Republican Party. Get rid of Ronna Romney McDaniel. Visit conservativereview.com. Find out how your representative is voting. Share the information with your family and friends. Get it out there. Vote them out if you have to. Just, it's a tough pill to swallow and it's hard to do, but it's the only way. We've all heard it before. If we stay home instead of voting for a candidate we despise, it's a vote for the Democrats. Hopefully today, we've all learned that any vote for a Republican candidate may in fact be a vote for a Democrat. Almost half of our elected representatives in D.C. are Democrats hiding behind a Republican label. So never again let the RNC or its members bully you, shame you, or fool you. They may be, quote, craftier, but they're darn well not smarter. The biggest thing you're going to have to do is this, and answer this question. What's most important? Your personal likes and dislikes or saving this nation? If you are happy with the status quo and the direction our country's headed, then don't do anything. Don't do anything. But if you're not at all happy and you fear for yourself, your loved ones, and the future of America, then here's what you have to do. We all have to do this. Get out now. Not get out of the country, but you have to leave the cult of personality. Leave the cult of political party. What do I mean by that? Leave the cult of personality. Cast aside your personal like or dislike of the individual. Hard to do, but you have no choice. Hear those things you do not want to hear from the person you do not want to hear it from. Focus on their words. Is what is being said true? Don't take anybody's answer for it. Seek the answer from reliable sources. Unfortunately, that is not our mainstream media. Get the facts for yourself and ask yourself, who is this person really representing? A vote will always outweigh a justification for a bad vote. Leave the cult of the political party. Cast aside your belief that a party label represents you or what is best for America. It doesn't. We've established that. Almost half of our current elected representatives are Democrats and 27% of Republicans, and the rest are wild cards. It could go either way. So a party label means nothing. Do not believe that the letter R or a D behind a name wants what's best for you or America. Perfect example. Joe Manchin is talking about leaving the Democrat Party. Republicans are cheering. Yay, that's so exciting. And as a person, I like Joe Manchin. However, he's got an 18% liberty score. His liberty score, his conservative voting record, is less than Ilhan Omar's and AOC's. Think about that. So does the Republican Party really want to woo him over? You must research issues. You must research voting records. And again, conservativereview.com, the Liberty Score, Mark Levin cannot have made it any easier if he tried. So look, listen to what your politicians say. Let's see if those words and actions match. Ignore their excuses, ignore their justifications, because at this point, we just need to realize they're working for themselves and no one else. Election time is around the corner. They're going to be coming back into their neighborhoods, banging on your door, praising how wonderful they are, all the wonderful things they've done, and all the wonderful things they're going to do. Do not believe it. Don't believe the flyers. Go look and see for yourself. And ask yourself, who are they really representing? Thank you for joining me on today's episode of A Voice in the Wind. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit the like button below, share with your friends and family. Also, you can follow me at X, Rumble, YouTube, and Substack, or you can email me at avoiceinthewind@email.com. Please, any comments or questions, leave them below. Till next time.